Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Next Level Technicals. I have some previous video on DHCP before now. I've actually carried out on using Cisco routers. So on this particular video session, I'll be talking about DHCP server using Mikrotik routers. So DHCP, which is a dynamic host configuration protocol, as I've earlier explained in my previous video session, actually is for his administration uh, of, uh, of clients or connected devices, such that it allows you to assign IP address dynamically. It hand over mechanism to the client dynamically, subnet marks, domain name, default gateway, DNS server, with server address. Without having your administrator to be configuring IP address manually on each and every devices. So you can actually check my previous video sessions to get an intro into it, and I also advise that you read more about it. But here is just the practical explanation on to use uh, how to configure DHCP server on my boutique router. So without any delay, let me log into this device and configure. So I'll be logging into R1, um, and the basic requirements for setting up DHCP server is to have an IP address on the interface facing the, uh, the client or the connected host. So we are using 192.168.10.1/24 for the DHCP, which is the minimum requirement. So if I come to IP, I come to DHCP server on the Mikrotik GUI or software, which is Winboss. I can actually use the wizard option, DHCP setup, and it automatically set up my DHCP server for me, or do it manually. If I want to do it manually, I'll come to IP pool, but I don't want to use that. I'll just do it for purpose of this lecture pool, and I create an IP range 192.168.10. Let me say 11. I'm omitting some IP address range dot 10.254, which is for usable IP for /24. And I'll just come to this place, and then the pool that I created is here, and the interface for that server with which the host or the client are going to be listening is on ETher 2. Which will be sending their request, and the server is going to be listening is on ETher 2 on port number 67. And then that's all with this. Then I'll now come to network and then set up the network format to the 168.10.0/24. The gateway be the IP address on that interface 192.168.10.1. And then the next class 255.255.255.0 /24. Then you can actually configure other options like the DNS server 8.8.8.8 dot dot 8, and then the domain, which can be a fully qualified domain name if you have one. But let me, for example, I just want to use R1 dot local, R1 dot local, the win server, NTP server. Maybe you have an NTP server somewhere 172.30.10.1, and then the win server and so on and so forth. But meanwhile, with with this, even with this one, without this net mask, the DCP server can start running. This is the manual setup, but that's not what I want to use. I want to use the DCP wizard. So I can actually come to DCP setup here, and I tick the interface I want to use, which I set at IP address on this. I just click next. Everything here is next. The gateway there, because it's going to be setting up automatically. Now, if you have some devices you want to know their IP, such that the IP will not be used by other clients or renewed, you can actually exclude certain range. In my previous video on Cisco, I excluded 10 to 1 to 10. You understand? And even if you don't want to, make sure you don't use one. One is sitting on the router interface to avoid conflict. So 11 is where I'm starting from. I click next. The DNS server is picking this as a DNS server because if you go to IP and you come to DNS, that's my DNS here, IP DNS. You see this DNS, this is what it's speaking because it's coming from my upstream service provider. But rather, you can assign your IP here if you want to, your DNS, and just change it. This is what is going to hand over to the DHCP client. And I'll say next. And then your list time 30 minutes or seconds here, hours or days here. So 30 minutes is actually okay if you are in a cyber cafe or in public domains, so like airports, because people there are not expected to sleep over. At least you come there after some few minutes, 45 minutes, maximum 1 hour, you leave. Your IP address issued to Mr. A can be reused by another device as Mr. B. But if you do this in airports, for example, you set it to 1 day, 1 day. What that means is that if you have more than 254 customers that visit that particular location, you will run out of address because 254 that have come, maybe additional 30 has come, and it's still going to be renewed until after 1 day. You run out of IP address. So it is preferable you use lesser time. Let me say 30 minutes. So you can just go with that, except maybe in your private organization where you stay. You understand? So in fact, you can just leave the 30 minutes, not to bother too much of yourself. So that's that. With this, your GCP can be running. If I come to one of these PC and then I say DHCP, I should have an IP address. So I'm getting a response. And this DORA actually is a process for the server and client with GCP communication. It actually stands for discover, offer, request, and acknowledgement. So this IP has been issued 249. If you come to the list, you see 249. Now in Cisco routers, the IP issued start from the beginnings, with exception from the excluded address. But in Mikrotik router, the IP issues its IP from the last usable IP, with the exception of the excluded IP address. Now, um, this IP has been issued. If you want to do more with this IP account, maybe you want to block this guy, you want to ban limit it, you want to do some firewall rules with it, you can't do it because as it is now, because it is dynamic. So you have to make it static to have more robust option. Now I've closed it and then you reopen it after making static. Remember, I double click it and I went down dynamic and I make static, or I click on it and I make static with this. It's already made static now. That is why this is grayed out. So I can actually block this guy if I want to, and then I can band limit it. Let me say to 1 Mbps, or I can, in case I want to use a firewall rules, I can say LAN A underscore user. Now these two things I've done here, 1 Mbps and LAN user, I will go and show you right now. So I've made it static. If I come to queue, you see the guy has been dynamically assigned here on 1 Mbps up, 1 Mbps down. If I go to IP firewall, I come to address lists, LAN user 1, IP TCP server, okay, LAN user 1, and I come to address list. That is it dynamically assigned. I can actually use this to do some NATs using the address list option, or I can use it for firewall rules using the address list option. Depends on whatever intention I want to use it for. Now, this IP DHCP server, that is just the basic. I'm only just going a little bit advanced, and your JCP will be running. Making it static is a little bit more advanced in case you want to manage that particular host for more options. Now, if you come now, this particular guy, another thing I want to show you is that if I come to, if I don't want, if I've made it static, fine. And if I come to this place and I issue that same TCP, to reissue that same IP address to this PC1, to this PC1. And if at the end of the day, maybe I've been limit this guy to 1 Mbps, and this guy want to change, don't want to be unlimited, he might want to be smart and decide to say, okay, I will, I will change this IP address. In order to avoid that, you can just come to DCP and then you come down to um, add AROP, add AROP, add AROP, and then you choose this address pool is going to be static only. Then you come to interface on that particular interface listening to. First of all, you come to AROP and you make that particular guy. Let me say, okay, this is the guy here. You make it, look at it, it's even dynamic because I've added it to AROP. So it is even showing already there that it's dynamic, complete, and it's DHCP. You can actually make it static here too, and then come to this interface, this AROP, I'll make it read, I'll make it read only. It cannot change its IP address. But the drawback to these options that I've done is that only the because AROP actually is a communication between layer 2 and layer 3 device. You understand? So and on layer 3 they communicate on MAC address, layer 2 to layer 3 which is IP address and then the MAC address. So and no new entries will actually come in. You can only reply. So read on reply only. So but I am not doing that now. So I'll click enable, return back to enable, and then the ROP entry. I make this guy static earlier on. Let me just remove. I hope I've enabled it back. So I come to IP DHCP server. Let me remove this guy. Add ARP. So and that's that for this. Now another thing, I've returned everything except this static only. Now this option also works with the fact that on this list, the IP address are made static are the only one that will have IP when a DORA request or DHCP request is made. For example, if I come to this PC2, if I come to this PC2 and I say DHCP, this guy will not obtain an IP address because the instruction is that the IP address have made static are the only ones to get IP address. Let's wait for it to finish getting this information. See, can't find server. But if I should come back now and return this thing back to DHCP pool, and reissue this DHCP request, it should have an IP address, DORA. And the IP address is having is 248, which is this guy here, because it is now getting its IP address from the pool initially created. So those are just the basic things. The other little fine tuning you can do, you can set this to 10 seconds, to 2 seconds, and or yes, as the case might be. If you need more information, visit my Mikrotik app page and to get more information about DCP. But with this basic configuration, you are good to go. So that actually comes to the end of today's presentation on DCP using Mikrotik, DCP server using Mikrotik router. Please, if you find this video interesting, I kindly urge you also ask for your assistance to please like and share and even make comments. I'll respond so that I can get more viewers to get to know my channel, and, and, and it is well appreciated in advance. Thank you for watching and stay blessed. Bye.